What is going on, Descendants, and welcome to our in-depth view of the gameplay trailer for the First Descent. So the first things we're going to get started off here, guys, we're going to talk about everything you probably missed within the trailer, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to mention some things that you're like, well, I didn't even notice that. But with that being said, guys, if you want to know exclusive information about this game, I made a video earlier, so you guys are definitely going to want to check that out. But let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing here right off the bat. So one thing I want you guys to notice is that the fact that we have a snowy area, and throughout the game, you're going to notice that there's different environments within the world. There's snow, there's desert, there's a forest-looking place. There's a very grass one. There's a very industrial one. So this gives us the sensation that we're going to have multiple areas within the game. Whether this game's going to be extremely open world, we don't know, or if it's going to be a little bit more linear like Destiny. Currently, right now, we don't know, but I'm pretty sure we will find out once the beta gets released. So this, I wanted to give you guys an overall idea. They're kind of showing you how massive the world's going to be. Now, I want to talk about this particular area. So one of the first things that I noticed when I see this particular area, first thing it reminds me is the tower in Destiny. This seems to be an area or a hub where you're able to go and either meet NPCs and upgrade your weapons or meet different players, because that is the vibe that I'm getting for this particular area. I could be a little bit off and completely wrong, but this does look like a central hub where you're going to be able to go and meet other people within that area. It would be cool if that's the case, so let me know in the comment section down below if you guys agree or disagree. So another thing I wanted to talk about this particular scene right here as well is the fact that here we get a look at a more in area from the world. So mostly throughout the trailer, you get a lot of outside scenery. So you get, stuff that's happening outside. But this is a more in-depth look at an actual building in a different area constructed from within the world. Now, this is made by Nexon, so it's a brand new team in the United States that is, that probably people were first time hearing about, but they are very well known throughout the world because they do make a lot of MMOs. So just because it's a new company that you probably haven't heard of doesn't mean they are not very good when it comes to making video games. So here is a scene that's very reminiscent against. I'm going to be referencing a lot to Destiny because this game does give me a lot of Destiny vibes. It gives me a lot of Warframe vibes. It takes a lot of elements from other games, but I see it is heavily focused on a lot of Destiny concept. And talking about Destiny, tell me if this does not look like a Destiny helmet or like a Vex in Destiny. And I love the fact that they actually lit this up. Really, really cool design here when it comes to the look of the gear. So here we have a character loading a handgun, and this reminds me a lot of the Last Word, very similar to that as you guys hear, or the Fatebringer right there. So really cool dynamic when it comes to this particular scene. And one thing you want to notice is that this person has their gloves, and you're going to notice throughout the entire gameplay, there's a lot of glow effects when it comes to their armor and their gear, and there's a reason for that, which we'll talk a little bit later in the video. So this is a particular character we currently already know what it's about. So he has a prosthetic arm, and this prosthetic arm actually turns into a weapon. So you're gonna notice right here, he actually charges his particular armor or his particular arm, and you're gonna notice his arm will go into a nice little effect here that allows him to charge up his arm right off the bat. So you'll see right here, in action, he's charging it up real quick. So this could be a shotgun. We don't know what type of weapon he has, but we do know that this arm does have a weapon. Now, moving along, there's another interesting character that we also know about. There's going to be the debuffer character, and she is super fast, has a lot of abilities. And one thing you're going to notice right here is this. So there's going to be a cloak ability that's going to be allowing you to cloak within the game. This is going to be very awesome, especially if you're trying to get around the area or around the map or trying to defeat a specific boss. They say that the game is very heavily focused to having multiple players do different stuff when it comes to killing bosses. So, hey, a cloak ability I didn't even know was in the game. And in addition to that, it also seems like she has a little throwing knife that she's able to use within her abilities. And I want you to keep a reminder about this particular knife, because we're going to see this knife in play where it does more than what we're seeing here in the video. So moving along, guys, you're going to notice here, she uncloaks and he cloaks. Now, this is another character as well. This one is actually pretty good. It looks like it's going to be using a lot of poison or toxin ability, because as we progress throughout the trailer, we're going to actually see these poison activity being put in play. And once again, another character that we have. So this one right here, guys, this is supposed to be the tank of the whole game, and he looks really tanky, guys. And once again, this is the other character that we saw previously with the glowing boots and the glowing armor, already all suited up and ready to rock and roll. And here we go. So now here we see our first look at an actual AR in the game. And this looks really, really dope. Very reminiscent of the Destiny weapon. Let's see if you guys can think what weapon it is. All I'm going to say is you actually get it from Gambit. Let me know if you guys know your Destiny in the comment section down below. So here we have it. Let's take a closer look at that particular weapon before we take a look at the Ghost. And here we are, guys. Another really cool looking AR. Really cool mechanic. And this is another character that we also have information about. Now, here is where I got a ton of Destiny vibes on this one, guys, because the Ghost, this is like almost a replica of the Ghost in Destiny. A little bit subtle differences, but it is all here. So this particular character, we also know she's going to be the debuffer in the game, and you're going to notice that she has a freeze ability, and this allows her not only to freeze stuff in her environment, but also debuff enemies as well. And you see her freezing the entire kind of area within the game. So here is our first kind of in-depth look at the gameplay mechanics. So there's a 4-player co-op RPG shooter. We get a look at 4 different characters here, the ones we already talked about. Once again, look at the scenery here, guys. We went from a snowy area that we saw in the beginning. Now this is a more desert-like looking feel and more traversary. So here is a look at one of the bosses that's available in the game. You're going to notice that this particular boss has a shotgun that he's able to have within his hand. In addition to the shotgun, he also shoots a projectile from within his chest, as you see right here. He's not shooting from the gun, but he's actually shooting from his chest. And he shoots these 4 little balls that actually land in the ground and do a area of effect damage and do a ton of explosion. Now, in addition to that, guys, you're going to notice that we go here a little bit further. You're going to notice he keeps shooting that randomly, and you're going to notice a couple characters doing a couple things here. So we have to remember the character that does the fast ability, the one you're going to notice on the left-hand side, the one we talked about that's very fast and agile. She's going to do a quick teleport action there, and then it transitions to this area. So a couple things that you notice. Over there to the left-hand side, we have, of course, the one that we call that had the toxic ability on the left-hand side. And you're going to notice that there is a trail of toxin that she's leaving as she's moving along there. Now, as we go and progress here, you're going to notice that this character does a freeze ability that not only freezes the enemy, but actually makes them explode when she does the freeze ability. Here's where I wanted you guys to pay close attention to, because remember how we talked about the character earlier that had the knife in her hand? Here we see that the knife actually extends to a blade, and she does a nice little sweep charge with that blade, decimating the enemies in front of her. Let's take a look at that again. You're going to see the blade come out from her hand, and that blade gets extended. As you see, you guys have an extended blade, but we're actually going to see it all the way up when she pulls it up. So as you see right there, it's fully extended. Here is when she pulls it out. Right there, and it extends all the way out, and she's able to do a nice little sweep motion right there, killing the enemy that's in front of her. Really, really cool dynamic here. Here's another thing that we can't look. She jumps in the air, and when she jumps in the air, this is very similar once again to Destiny. If you know your Warlock, he has that landfall one where he jumps in the air and does the explosion of the electricity. Right here, she does it as well and decimates the enemies right there on the ground. So as you notice right here, jumps in the air. Let's take a closer look at that one. Jumps in the air, does the explosive or the charge ability in the air, and decimates the enemies right off the bat. She actually puts a sphere. I didn't notice that until right now that we're taking a closer look at this. She doesn't jump and land it. She actually pulls something out of her arm. And when she pulls something out of the arm, she puts it up in the air, which is a little sphere. That little sphere explodes and blows everybody up. Really, really cool here. Now, this is another character we're going to be taking a look at. This is kind of like the pyromancer right here. He's going to be able to have like a flamethrower within his arm, and he's able to use that. Now, I wonder if this has multiple abilities that you're able to with this ability, but that is one of the really cool ones that we have here as well. So here's a more in-depth look at the grapple hook. This is going to be used for a couple ways. It's going to be used for traversing the map, but in addition to that, it's also going to be used for removing parts from bosses as well. So here we see that he's trying to get to higher ground, so he used that first pillar right there to get more momentum to move a little bit further in the ground. Now, here's where we take a look at the tank and the class, and here's where he has a really cool ability here. As you guys notice, one of the cool abilities that he has is this reminds me of the Titan Smash in Destiny, but when he actually does that, he gets a charge up to protect them from any shots or any endangerment, and he comes into the ground, slams the enemy, and makes him explode. Now, here is another crazy look at one of the bosses as well. This boss looks massive, guys. It looks just really, really strong. We don't really see so much in-game mechanics on this one, but we do notice that he has a turret in his hand, and he has some really glowing spheres here that they might actually explode. So here we got another one, guys. This boss comes out of the ground, another one, and I think this might be the first boss that we saw that. Let me double check. That shoots from the chest. Actually, maybe I'm wrong. So here's where we take a look at one of the things I was telling you that you use the grapple hook, and this grapple hook can actually be used to get up into higher ground. But as we progress through in this trailer, you're going to notice that he's going to actually use this particular grapple hook to remove one of the parts of the bosses here. So he gets over there to the high ground, as you see right there. He jumps down up to the boss, and he actually starts hitting him and trying to dismantle something in the back of him and breaks it off from here. So here is this one right here, I believe is an enemy, and this particular enemy has that particular ability. Now, I'm not 100% sure if that's an enemy or if that is actually a character that we're going to be able to use, because remember, there's a total of 10. This reminds me a little bit of Warframe, because if you notice the arm, he does have that katana in his hand, and you see that nice swipe, but actually this might be another character that's part of the game if you notice here. So really, really cool there, and we have that nice effect. Now, this protagonist, we don't know who she is, but she does look really cool, really solid, a lot of influence here. So here's something that I want to talk about. Here we guys see that he's getting kind of an upgrade or a prosthetic within his arm, or getting his arm fixed. So this does give me the idea that there's going to be a crafting station where we're going to be able to improve our armor and get better abilities within their armor. And this might be an animation that plays when we actually get this one. So here is another look at the enemies. Now, the enemies look pretty massive, and there are a ton of enemies, and one particular boss that is going to be the one that's going to be a pain in our patootie all over throughout the game, trying to cause a lot of havoc within us here. So as you here, guys, are running away from a boss that's charging them. Really massive bosses, and that's one thing I really, really love. Now, this particular boss, I don't know if that's the same boss we saw with the green tentacles and the, kind of AR in his arm, but here is a really cool thing. So once again, the tank class has this cool shield or dome, very similar like the Titan in Destiny, that he's able to put, instead of a dome, he's actually put it above his head, and he's able to move with that particular armor, with that particular ability, which is what I love, because usually in Destiny, it's like you place down the dome and you can't move. This one looks like there is movement with this one. So moving along, here's where I told you guys about the character that has the toxic lead or the toxic ability. You're going to notice that she's able to project this particular toxic from the bullets she actually shoots, so that we don't know if this is going to enhance the, like if this is going to give her a buff when she shoots them with that toxin, or every bullet that she shoots with, it has toxic ability as well. But we do see her shoot at. Now, this character looks really, really dope, because this one is something I really wanted to see in video games, and it reminds me a lot of Destiny as well, where you have that, where you have the buddy in with the Warlock. This one actually has two buddies. Look at that. He's actually able to run, turn around, and he deploys a total of 2 turrets that begin shooting the enemy while he does his nice quick getaway. Really awesome and really crazy. Another look at another boss. That boss looks crazy, crazy good. And once again, guys, here's something we see once again with the ability within the tank class. As you guys see here, not only does he have an upward shield, but he has a kind of plasma shield that he's able to put in the front. Very reminiscent of Overwatch, where you're able to pop that shield in front of the people without taking any damage. And once again, a lot of verticality when it comes to the game. You use that grapple hook to get up in the air, take out the enemies, and use the grapple hook even further to get up even higher to kill more multiple enemies. Now, I wish we would have seen a little bit more UI elements here, but this is another really cool thing that the freeze debuffer has, that she's able to not only freeze multiple enemies, but she's able to select the enemy she freezes. And you notice right here, as she jumps across over this particular area, she throws in a little splash of freeze ability and freezes the enemies down to a pat. Really cool. Now, this is really cool. Look, when she's running, this reminds me a lot of Sonic, but when she's running, she leaves a trail of electricity in the ground, and then it seems like she teleports here, right here. Watch, check this out here. Okay, maybe she doesn't teleport, but it just seems that she's running so fast that she's able to run really quick. The enemy's not able to react until she's right in front. She shoots the gun, and it pretty much blows the enemy right away. Another taking a look at the pistol right here reminds me of the rat gun in Destiny. And as you guys see right here, something people might have overwatched, not a little bit, is this nice AoE effect ability that she has, that she's able to, she sees the enemy rushing, and she actually casts this particular ability that goes up in flames. So check this out. The enemy's rushing her. She casts it. It kind of blows them up. Does really cool, massive effect. Really crazy. Another really crazy boss right here. It seems like she already had the ability. And here, once again, we take a look at the enemy. We're going to be fighting the main boss that has all these aliens going crazy, trying to kill us. Really, really crazy. Really OP and really awesome. And here, this is the final scene that we get in the game, the First Descendant, and now we get this final scene where he actually gets this buff. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen very similar to Destiny or other games where you kind of have your super, and when you activate your super, your armor is going to glow into this cool animation that's going to give you that nice hologram. I don't know if that's the way it works, but it does really look cool and amazing. I don't know if that's him casting his super, and each character is going to have that ability. That is my complete breakdown of the trailer of the First Descendant. If there's something I missed, let me know in the comment section down below. Like I said earlier, I did wish we would have had a look at the UI, because that would have made it really crazy and would have had a little bit more better breakdown of the abilities and stuff, the way it works. But with that being said, guys, I highly recommend you check out this video where we go over exclusive information about the game that you guys are definitely going to want to know, so you guys won't miss when this game comes out. Remember, the beta starts October the 20th to the 26th, so you guys are definitely not going to want to miss it. We're going to have extensive coverage here on the channel. Hope you guys are enjoying our content. If you are doing me a huge favor, guys, drop a comment, drop a like, but most importantly, subscribe to the channel, turn on all your notifications, and if you want to show a little bit more love and support, hit that join button like everybody has and become part of the Bolt Nation. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.